Hello everyone, it's your girl Genine LaTrice Perez. How you living? I hope you're living your best life. Listen, we're here at the Wyndham Riverfront Hotel for our Me Over Meth, the first Me Over Meth conference right here in the state of Arkansas. You know your girl is representing Region 9 with the Family Service Agency, and I am delighted to be here. I'm going to interview several people that are going to come to you, tell you what their role is as it relates to Me Over Meth, the conference, or just what they do throughout the state as it relates to substance use, substance abuse, prevention, and possibly even treatment. We never know what someone will say or what their role is and how they impact the state. But what we do know is they're here to help you. And this is why we bring How You Living so that you can live your best life, and bring those who are going to come and speak with us today so that you can be a better person, so that we can all be a better state. It's Arkansas, everybody. We got to love our state. We got to love the people that we have here. Hey, you ready? Okay, I'm going to be bringing on that first person. Stay tuned.
Cause I'm living my best life, and I ain't gonna hold it. Cause I'm living my best life, and I ain't got time to be fooling with you. They say closed mouths won't get fed.
I am Jimmy McGill. I am the Director of Recovery Support Services for the state of Arkansas. I am 7 years in long-term recovery from a 23-year IV drug addiction that was predominantly methamphetamine. I'm a local Arkansan, born and raised in North Little Rock, and so what I do is I develop, implement, and evaluate all of the state's recovery initiatives in all the jails, the prisons, the hospitals, the emergency rooms. I'm an author and I'm a national speaker.
Well, Jimmy, you just did the interview. Jimmy, you just did the interview.
Hey.
Okay, we're going to keep with this. Okay, Jimmy, so you've just shared with us who you are.
Yeah.
Your past, a little bit about your past and what you do. So as it relates to this Me Over Meth conference and why you're here, what are you instrumental in, or what is your specific role for today?
So today I am one of the panelists, and we're going to be discussing the history of methamphetamine in Arkansas.
Okay.
The progression of it, the different types of methamphetamine, the different types of effect that, the different euphoria feelings that are provided by the different types of meth that a person can use.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's different, okay, so see, he's already blown my mind as it relates to, he says there's different types of meth and different types of feelings that you get. I mean, I guess I would assume it, because this is something that is manufactured. How is this made?
Well, so historically, Arkansas was one of those states where when I was in my younger years, right, everybody in the state was manufacturing their own methamphetamine. So you had 16 and 17-year-olds running all over Little Rock, Pine Bluff, everywhere, cooking their own dope. And as the years went by and methamphetamine laws were developed, it made gathering chemicals and components used to manufacture meth next to impossible. So now it's transgressed from manufacturing to what it is today is ice, which technically really isn't even methamphetamine.
Oh my goodness.
But it's the supplement of it, right?
It's so scary.
Yeah.
It's scary if any, oh, it's so scary. So you mentioned recovery. Did you say 7 years?
Yeah, I've been clean for 7 years by the grace of God.
Wonderful. And so that means you're living much better than you were before.
Oh yeah, despite the plethora of self-imposed disadvantages, right? Like despite the historic felony convictions all throughout my life, multiple incarcerations, and I still went on to carve an amazing life and be a government employee, you know, so.
Man, you're the epitome of transformation.
Thank
and don't ever judge a book by its cover. You do not know what someone's story is.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this is my first guest today.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you shared that with me. Just that little bit, I'm getting chills all over.
It's good.
I'm so happy for you. and then you turned your addiction, I can say that with you, you turned that addiction into support and resources and help and a spirit of servitude for others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that means a lot.
Yeah, that past became my platform. You know, it went from a guy who God pulled out of a ditch, and from the second I got clean, I just wouldn't shut up about recovery, right?
Y'all know how I am. So you have really touched me. I'm serious. I'm not. I mean, I get really emotional. I mean, your spirit has just touched me because there are many who aren't able to stand in your shoes.
Yeah, I get it.
They can't stand in your shoes. They don't have the same testimony. They don't have the same story, and they're no longer with us.
Yeah. And I can say that as a national recovery advocate, as a person in long-term recovery, we tend to be the person that attends more funerals than most pastors. We attend more funerals than graduations. We have more friends in prison than college. You know, and that's the reality of addiction. But it doesn't have to be the finale of it, right? There can be a beacon of hope. There can be a way out. Recovery is real. It is possible. And what I do for the state is we are the front line of defense in the fight against substance use. We are the army of peer recovery specialists, and we equip ourselves with weapons of prevention and treatment, and we go in, and of course we try to catch the youth before they use, but in most cases that we see are people who have already started that use became progressive, went from dependence to full-blown addiction, and now we become that beacon of hope, going back into the same fire that once consumed us with buckets of water for those who are still burning.
Right.
You know?
Oh boy, just the way that you put that is so powerful. Hey everybody, it's your girl Genine LaTrice Perez on How You Living, and you know, of course, I hope that you're living your best life with the Family Service Agency and Region 9 Prevention Providers. And you know where we are. We are here at the Me Over Meth Conference, and guess what? I've got Director Lane sitting next to me, and I mean, wow, what an impact that you have on the state of Arkansas and the things that you are doing and providing for us in terms of prevention. I mean, just across the board. But I don't want to spoil it. I want you to tell our viewers all about what you do and why this conference is so important to the state of Arkansas, the Me Over Meth Conference.
So what I do is I oversee state-funded prevention, treatment, recovery programs for the state, drug policy for the governor's office, and also oversee the 19 drug task forces in the state fiscally on that program. So it's a lot of different hats, and it's not just me, it's a village, and it takes a village to conquer this problem. So Me Over Meth is a concept that we came up with last year as we began trying to work with the stimulant side. We've been so focused on the opioid side, and we saw the stimulant side starting to blend with that. And I say blend with that, we started seeing illicit fentanyl, an opioid, mixed into methamphetamine, causing a vast amount of carnage in our state and across the country. So we really tried to realize the fact that fentanyl was overtaking methamphetamine, but methamphetamine had been ingrained in Arkansas for so long, generational problems. And when we talked to people in the communities, not really a lot of feedback on meth today. It was mainly focused on meth from the past, from the 80s and 90s when I dealt with meth as a law enforcement officer, made in the backyards and trailers of our communities, and that's not what meth is today. And so trying to get in front of meth and have a statewide campaign was the mindset of that educational program, and everything we do on treatment, recovery, prevention, all has an educational component to it. That's how we get ahead.
Yes, correct.
And so moving forward with that, coming up with those concepts that play on words to make it mean so much from so many different angles, because everybody has their own pathway, everybody has their own pain, everybody has their own experiences from meth, whether it be families or people that are actually suffering, law enforcement that's dealing with it. We want it to be something for everybody, so to try to encourage them to come together.
And I like that. Jimmy McGill, he spoke about his addiction, his recovery, and now what he is doing as it relates to his role in helping others and sharing that story. We talked to Sharon Mims, who talked about being a part of the community and making sure that we not only just focus on just the overall, but that one person, that me person. We had Joy Spence come in talking about we were reaching out to everybody to engage as many people as possible, not because they have had an addiction, but because they may have been impacted by the addiction. And then here you go, and then that's a well-rounded approach. And so when you start talking about me over meth, and choosing the natural state, like, hey, this is a you problem, this is a me problem, we have got to be in the trenches together. You have a lot of hats. You have a lot of
I do
work.
have a lot of hats, but it takes a lot of hats and a lot of connections and a lot of engagement to make a difference.
Let me ask you this, have you had any pushback?
Sure.
I mean, just when we talk about pushback, what are you kind of getting?
Well, I think you always have pushback, but I think in this project itself, there were some people that took offense to the fact that we were using children to impact this, but we have to realize that our children are impacted by this, whether they're directly using or peer pressure, but most importantly is we're seeing a lot of use between that 20 and 50 age, where these people are our parents and our brothers and our sisters, our uncles, our aunts, and role models for those young people, making them drug endangered. You know, I think back to, I'm going off the path here, but I think back to when I was a law enforcement officer and going into these meth labs and finding chemicals in the baby cribs, carrying kids out that had been burned, things like that, when a meth lab exposure that had been in there, and how it impacted my mindset of what I needed to be doing on that, and there had to be a better way. And so moving forward with anything that we are educating on, whether the opioid epidemic, the impact that marijuana will have on our state if it's legalized, all the way across the board, stigma is that one factor that we have to get over, because for so long society wanted law enforcement or other people to handle these problems, and that wasn't the right answer. It's part of the answer, but it's not the only answer. And so we have to understand that love and support and understanding and opportunity and everything that comes along with that takes a community to do. It's our village. We have to, we have to raise our children. We have to protect our families by our village. That's what makes the world work.
I see. So our village, our community, the engagement, not just law enforcement, but grandma, grandpa, aunts, and uncles. And Dr. Bledsoe it was that spoke. When you mentioned children and how people, the pushback and how people said, involving the children, that was one thing, but they're impacting in some way. The story of the mother and her 3-year-old.
Sure.
If I cry, don't worry about it. I get really emotional about the work that I do, but when he told that story and then he said, who can you be with? I mean, who wants to come with, and she was like, don't call my mother, because it was my mother that, because of her substance abuse, ran over him.
Sure.
Dad.
There's a lot of stories, and I hate to use the word stories, but there's a lot of situations like that really fuel a lot of what we do. I look at the posters that they have in different programs of the people that we lost, and looking into their eyes, and then looking at people that are in recovery. that are fighting every day, the people like Jimmy McGill and that are fighting every day to keep their sobriety and where we're going, that really fuels the future of where we need to go, and listening to them. You know, I'm so elated to have people in recovery at the table, listening to those stories, because it impacts, and for so long, stigma had kept those people from the table because they may have had a felony conviction, they may have had a drug addiction, that kept those people from being at the table. And if you think about it, why? Because it's common sense to really listen to them, to make it, figure out what ticks so we can solve the problem, instead of stigmatizing it and keeping it away and having other people that have no concept of addiction, no concept of the pain and suffering and the support that they need. And you know, I'll give you an example. When we first started really pushing naloxone or Narcan, we got criticized for the fact that, why are you trying to save these people? And you're just wasting money, and if they're dumb enough to take the drug, then they just die. But what if we applied that same principle to diabetes or heart disease and things of that nature? It doesn't make sense, and it's stigma that took us there. So I think we all know there's a better way, and we just have to believe that we can achieve it in this lifetime and make a run at it.
Wow. Thank you so very much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Again, it's your girl, Genine LaTrice Perez, How You Living, representing Region 9 and Family Service Agency. And this is Kirk Lane, Director. What'd you say? Drug Director?
Oh, I've been called a lot of names.
It's just the way. So you say drug director. I gotta say it like this. You say drug director. He's not directing drugs.
That's right.
He's doing everything in his power to make sure that you are safe so that you can live your best life. Kirk Lane, everybody. There you go. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody, it's your girl, Genine LaTrice Perez. How you living? I hope you living your best life. Listen, we're going to be here all day for the Me Over Meth Conference. It's the first in the state, and I have the opportunity to speak with one of the first people in prevention and treatment and intervention and everything, Miss Sharon Mims. So I just want you to take just a few moments, because she said I ain't trying to be on camera all day. I just want you to take a few moments, tell us what you do and how impactful your role is as it relates to this Me Over Meth, or just what you want our viewers to know as it relates to the Me Over Meth Conference and your role throughout the state.
As I stated, I am a program manager, and I work more specifically with community coalitions. So when I think about the Me Over Meth campaign, it is a vital part when you're talking about the issues in communities. I was thinking and having a conversation earlier and thinking about stigma. But when you come together in a platform such as we have today, and you learn from others and you share from others, then you realize that this is an issue that we're all in together. There's no one single Lone Ranger. This is a fight that we share in. We're glad to be here. This is the first conference of this type solo, and we're looking for many, many more.
Well, we thank you definitely for your role, and thank you very much. Community is so very important.
It is.
And community, I know we have the state of Arkansas, but within the state of Arkansas, there are so many subsets of what community looks like, feels like, smells like, and is. And so therefore, it's important to put your feet on the ground and be in the trenches. And I like how you said that as it relates to stigma. Stigma. You know, we all have the assumptions of X, Y, and Z, but really you never know who it affects, whether it's you or me.
And we find out when we're in settings such as this on today, Me Over Meth Conference, that these are issues that touch families all over the United States, more specifically in the state, the great state of Arkansas that we're in, and more specifically to narrow it down in the communities that we go out. Janine, both of us go out in those communities to help those communities understand and know how to better help themselves. So I am excited. about this conference today, and I'm looking for many, many more.
Thank you so very much for being with us. Again, Sharon Mims, this is How You Living, and Sharon Mims is just one of the individuals, one of the many individuals that are going to be helping you live your best life.